Well, as students are going back to school, parents need to be on the lookout for signs of stress and anxiety. But how do you respond? How do you help your kids? Because we're kind of their first line of defense. Joining us this morning is licensed professional counselor Jamie Dan, and I'm so excited to talk to you about this because I have teenagers, and a lot of the parents watching may not even realize that there's a problem because, like we were talking in the break, this is already happening. Our kids, these high levels of anxiety. Explain why this is happening and what numbers you're seeing.
Well, it's as high as 42% of teens are reporting that they feel anxious, and they also report that they don't feel like they have the coping strategies to be able to manage that anxiety. And this is coming up because of the world that we live in today. Everything is multitasking. You've got your phone on and it's going off while you're trying to study for tests, and you feel like you have this image that you need to like kind of brand yourself, right? And so when we were in school, we were able to table some of that when we came home, and today it's just 24/7.
It's constant all the time. And social media obviously a big part of this, but so you're saying we shouldn't be necessarily looking for any physical warning signs, but we do need to talk to our kids and
Right.
kind of be a proactive parent. So what are some things we can do to kind of nip this problem before maybe it gets any worse, or just to teach them these coping mechanisms as they get older?
Well, part of it is putting down our own phones, right, and listening to our kids so that they're talking to our eyes, to our face, instead of the top of our heads.
Good advice. I mean, for everybody involved, because I'm guilty of it too. We're always working.
Right, and so also when they do come and talk to us about things, being open, not immediately going to a teachable moment. If we're open and we're listening to our kids, then they're going to be more receptive to any feedback that we have to give.
And that's why it's so important not to judge, just to let them talk.
Right.
Very
Yes.
openly. We're not judging what you say. We just want to hear you.
Yes, and exactly what you're doing right now. It's called reflective listening, right? So I said something, and then you put it in some different words, but repeated it back to make sure you understood what I said.
Is that the mirroring that you're talking
Yes,
about? Okay.
exactly.
What kind of questions specifically should we be asking our kids? Is there anything that maybe some keywords that we should be using that would maybe get them to open up?
Well, I think if you say, "Are you stressed?" they're going to say no. They don't necessarily know what they're feeling all the time either. So it's more not asking yes or no questions. It's asking questions about how their day's going, what they're liking, what they're not liking, what they need some help with.
Let's talk about social media and how this kind of bleeds into it and the pressures these kids are facing in just so many aspects of their lives. We were talking during the break about these big promposals and these huge gestures, and that puts a lot of pressure on both the boys, the girls, and socially. And then there's the pressures academically that you have to do 10 million things to get into the right college. Mm-hmm. Social media is a big pressure that, again, we didn't have to deal with kids. Let's reinforce the idea of limiting that a little bit.
Right. There again are some studies that have come out more recently saying anything over 2.5 hours engaging in social media increases the risks of anxiety and depression. So those are some correlational studies. It could be that kids that are more depressed or more anxious happen to be on some of these sites more often. And it also could be that there's some social isolation when you're spending a lot of time reading about what's going on, what you're perceiving is going on in other people's lives versus how you feel like
about your own
life, internally. There's a disconnect with that.
All right, she is offering workshops for empowering teenage girls. It's on Tuesday nights through the month of September, and we're going to put that information on our website, azfamily.com. Scott and Olivia will send it over to you guys.